You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great place to start.
You're welcome to join us tomorrow. You guys can come.
More for me.
Yeah, our travel squad, they're 2 lift days. Sunday's the off day now, and so Monday, Tuesdays, they're 2 lifts of the week, and so they got a lift. So we didn't think snowballs right before the lift was probably ideal, so we moved the snowball day to Wednesday on Victory. So yeah. Well, we gotta go to class too. So we're at Tulane. All right, so they go to school. Appreciate y'all being here. Wrapping up last week, good win. No bad wins. Good to get an in-state win. Hard-fought game. One of the hottest games I've been a part of. I was proud of our guys, their preparation with their hydration and just being ready to go play in those conditions. It was, I think, high 130s, maybe 140 on the field is kind of what I've heard. And so, hot day. Did not play our best, but found a way. I think there was a lot of bright spots. You think about a pick six, a kickoff return for a touchdown, and the way we ran the ball, really, really positives. I thought defensively we had some flash plays that were positive. We had some major flash plays that were negative that we have to improve upon quickly. I thought we played pretty good in the kicking game as a whole. Had the one at the end we'd like to make to put the game on ice, but all in all, I thought in the kicking game we played pretty clean and played well. So good to finish up non-conference play with a win. Turn the page now. Got a really good South Florida team coming to town, a team that's very veteran. Looking through their depth chart roster last night, out of their 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 22 starters, I think 16 of them are seniors. And I think maybe 5 more are juniors. So that's 21 to 22 that are juniors or seniors, which that usually bodes well for having an opportunity to be successful when you get that veteran of a team, that mature of a team. It starts with their quarterback, really good football player. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink, if you will. He makes it go. He's great throwing the ball, great running the ball, dual threat guy. Can launch the ball down the field, can throw it intermediate, throws the screen game good, runs it. Big guy, hard to tackle. Offensive line does a nice job executing what they run. They play with a lot of tempo. The receivers are good. This little 38, wide receiver number 38. I know jersey numbers. I'm not a big name guy. I'm looking at the jersey number, but 38, he's a dude. He plays the game the right way. He's involved in their return game as well. Really good player. And they got 3 good backs, and so big time challenge for our defense. I think they play as fast as anybody in the country. And then defensively, they're probably that's where they're most improved. You watch them on defense last year, and there was some ups and downs. You watch them on defense this year, while maybe the score doesn't indicate it in their game last week, they're playing pretty good defense, and they're really aggressive. They're physical. They're big inside. They're fast on the perimeter, and they're really good at linebacker. So in the kicking game, they use two field goal kickers, more of an intermediate short guy and a long guy, and they're good on special teams. So they run a lot of trick plays, gimmicks, like things you have to be prepared for in the kicking game. They surprised onside one last week. They're gonna run a reverse or a fake reverse and kickoff return. They're gonna fake punts. They've done it. We got to be prepared for all of that, because those are things that they do a lot of, and we've got to be really prepared for those things. But the challenge is on our guys just to be ready to play a good game here at home. Excited about being back at home and open up conference play. So with that, we'll open up.
Before getting to football, just yesterday, Tulane and the AAC announced a commitment to staying in the AAC. Just your thoughts. There's been a lot of talk of Tulane potentially moving. Just your thoughts on Tulane staying with the AAC.
Yeah, I like where we are. Those are decisions that are well above the head football coach's chair. That's more of an administration decision. But I'm on board with whatever we feel like we need to do there to position ourselves. I like the American Conference. I like our new commissioner, Tim Pernetti. I think he's awesome. He's going to be at our game Saturday. He was at our Oklahoma game. I think Tim's got great energy, trying to figure out ways to push our league further. Geographically, the league we're in makes a lot of sense. There's tons of things that go into making that decision. Like I said, well above the head football coach. And we're where we are. I'm happy to be in our league, and I like our league. Nothing against the other league, but I've been so focused on trying to get a win each week that conference realignment's not been my first thought when I wake up or when I go to bed. I can promise you that.
Coach, another non-football
per se question, but you talked about it a little bit earlier, but the weather, playing at that 130 degrees outside, you also have that kind of a thing down here in New Orleans, obviously, as well, the way the turf is also kind of beats it up. But what are the advantages and yet disadvantages of having opponents in it and yet trying to fight the heat yourself?
Yeah, the turf at Louisiana Lafayette isn't like our turf. It's got the black pebbles on it that gets even hotter. Our turf is a newer style. It's got the pebbles, if you ever go look at it, they're lighter in color. They deflect the heat a little bit better, so our turf doesn't get quite as hot. And yeah, when we're playing other people, there's a lot of heat and humidity. The Tuesday practice we had at Kansas State was the hottest we had, I think, all training camp or all fall. It felt about like that the other day, but maybe even a little bit hotter. Maybe not quite as humid, but hotter. So we're prepared for the heat, humidity. We get it a lot. Our opponent this week, they get a lot too. They're not unfamiliar with that, so it doesn't really maybe draw some big advantage this week. If we were playing, maybe some team from like the Northeast or Northwest, it might help us. But it does train you, I think, mentally to be a tough-minded guy. And so I think we've been enough of those practices that Saturday, it wasn't like, how do we deal with this? Well, we've dealt with it quite a bit during training camp, so we've been there.
Right, and more of a football question now. You said earlier in the year how Mekhi Hughes on your team helps you sleep a lot easier at night. How easy was it to sleep after he gets a season-high 166 against UL?
Yeah, what a stud, man. Not at his best health-wise. He was a little under the weather Saturday. He's a lot better now. I think he might have given me what he had. But he just he brings it every day. He's a model of consistency and dependability, extremely reliable, very detailed, great teammate, hardworking guy. We talk a lot about better people make better players. He's a really good person, and he's also a really good football player. And it's amazing from a head coach perspective. Like, I kid around all the time. You deal with 10% of your team 90% of the time, meaning like you got a handful of guys that occupy most of your time because they're high maintenance. Mekhi is the exact opposite. Like, Mekhi, I think, has never come to me and said, hey, coach, could I get this, or can we do this, or I need more of that. He just shows up and works. And I think when your best players do that, it bodes well for your team. When your best players are your hardest working guys too, man, that's fun to be around. And so he's a great teammate, proud of his success. He deserves all of it. He's earned all of it. I mean, he works incredibly hard.
You talked about the beginning of the year, no preseason in college football. Now what you're focusing on, conference play. What have you learned about your team through 4 games heading into this?
Yeah, I think we're resilient. I think we're mentally tough. I think we got some fighters. I think we're still not a very polished team in a lot of areas. I'm a little probably disappointed and frustrated with just how clean we're playing the game at times. I've referenced this. Like, we've got 7 guys most weeks starting on defense that weren't here when I got here. I think 6 of those 7 got here like post-spring or right at, like, whatever. Like, it's so the turnover there has been – we're trying to get cohesion. But I think you've seen our team. We've been battle-tested. That's one of the positives, too. You look at our schedule. I don't look at strength of schedule stuff and compare it to other people, but, like, play a quality FCS in-state team, and then you go play Kansas State, Oklahoma, Louisiana Lafayette. Like, those are – Louisiana Lafayette's been to a bunch of bowl games in a row. I'm pretty certain Kansas State and Oklahoma have been to a bunch of bowl games in a row. All 3 of those teams are going to test you. And physically, it's taking it's tolling our team a little bit. Like, we're a little beat up, a little bruised, a little battered, but I think at the same time, it prepares you for the long haul of, like, all right, we've measured ourselves against good people, and we've got to be ready to go. But we're still not a team that I'm pleased with all of the detail. I like a lot of the things I've seen. We still have so much more improvement left out in front of us.
Is Shadre Hurst your new secret weapon in the passing game?
He's might move to tight end if they don't watch out. Yeah, Shadre's a really good player. It's funny watching him get that deflection the other day. Shadre's a high-level player. I think he's got a really bright future in this game. He's a fantastic teammate as well. I think he's got a high ceiling, and my favorite play, y'all's favorite play was probably him catching the deflection. My favorite play, and I showed it to the team on Monday, was him knocking a defender about 15 yards down the field and just mauling a guy. And I was like, that's what it looks like to play offensive line. And I showed it to the whole team.
Yeah.
I didn't show his deflection to the team, his catch.
Is Josh Remitich going to be okay?
I think so. Practice yesterday,
Yeah.
little muscle soreness, nothing structural. It doesn't look like. Had an image. Think he's fine. The human body does funny things, but I think it's just more muscle fatigue and maybe some soreness and tightness after yesterday's movement. And we just after monitoring it, he's played enough snaps that would like for all our guys to practice as much as possible. But after kind of evaluating him yesterday, just thought probably in his best interest to limit him today, let him watch, and we'll see as the week goes.
When Jalen Geiger got that interception at the end, it looked like he wanted to run it back. Did he make eye contact with you? Because he made a quick he changed his mind.
Well, I think he saw all the other interceptions we've had go for pick sixes, and he thought this is my time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had, I was going to go take him down. There's going to be a penalty on me. So I was not going to let him score. He was like, yeah, I went down. I'm like, yeah, about 6 steps too late. And you didn't go down long enough. Like when you take a knee, it needs he took the quickest knee I've ever seen. I'm like, can you go down and just stay there for a couple seconds? But happy for him to get that to clinch the game. And we show clips all the time of football IQ stuff of when you get that kind of interception with the game over, take a knee.
You mentioned Brown, their quarterback. Just what about him really stands out?
Big guy, 6'3", 220-something pounds, has a huge arm, can really run, runs physically, has good speed, but he's also a physical runner. He's a hard tackle. He's linebacker-ish size, runs like a quality athlete with the ball in his hand. I mean, he's a really good runner. He does a great job in their scheme, in their system. He extends plays with his feet, maybe even plays that aren't called runs. He's just a weapon, man. Like they're playing with another skill guy who happens to be able to launch the ball down the field. I mean, and he's got a big arm, and I think this is year 2 of him being in that system with him, and so he's operating at a really high level with confidence in how he plays the game.
And USF is 3rd in the conference in rushing yards. How much does he help that as far as their effectiveness in the running game?
Well, he's their leading rusher, so he helps it a ton. I think, they play with great tempo. Those teams that play with that tempo, everybody thinks it's the pass, it's the pass, it's the pass. They play with a lot of open sets, 4 wide looks. Even when there's a tight end in the game, a lot of times they'll be in a 4 wide look. And I think that human nature is to see the formation and think, oh, they're throwing the ball everywhere. They're running the ball at a really high level. They throw it good too, but they run to win. They run the ball to win games, and they run it very effectively, very consistently. And when you add the quarterback run element to the game, it's an extra hat. They got an extra hat in the run game now, and so you've got to add people to the box to stop the run sometimes. And he's a challenge, man. Like I said, he's the guy. I mean, they got good players all over the place, but it starts with him.
Going into conference play, obviously, how important is it to start off 1-0 the right way?
Very. I mean, you want to win them all. It's a lot easier to go the long stretch and be in the hunt if you start the right way. I haven't told our team this. Last 2 years where I was, we won conference championships. I'm not proud of this. We started 0-1 both times in the conference. I guess I'm just notorious as a head coach of not starting good, but we started 1-2 overall and 0-1 in the conference both years. And so I don't want to do that. It makes it a lot easier if you start fast. A lot easier to finish strong when you start fast. But this game's very important. It's against a really good team. It's a conference game. We need to get off the right foot. It's not going to be easy. And we got to play a lot better football. I said this post-game Saturday. If we don't play better, we will not have a chance in this game. If we play like we did on Saturday, we will not win this game.
Going back to Saturday, Coach, the way that the offense was running the football, how do you think Mensah was able to be not a playmaker but a manager? He only had 17 passing attempts.
Yeah, I thought he was fairly efficient. Early in the game, he probably missed 1 or 2 things. I thought he made a really big 3rd down throw to Mario. I thought he had another really nice throw to Dante. felt like our keys to victory every week. I got 3 keys to victory. They're not always the same. They change week to week. Sometimes they may be the same, but it's not like just 3 that we talk about every week. It's how do we win and what's the other team's formula to lose. Louisiana Lafayette, the formula for them to take a loss was to outrush them. And so that was our number 1 key to victory last week was we want to win the run game. Ran for about 100 yards more than them on the game. And anytime you can run the football, it makes playing quarterback a whole lot easier. It makes protecting the quarterback a whole lot easier. And so that was the formula that last week. Still kind of working through what's that formula this week. Every week, your team has an identity, your opponent has an identity, and each game has its own life. And so every week there's a different equation for like what's our best way to win this game. I think you saw us against Kansas State sort of didn't win the game. He felt like, all right, we needed to lean on some throws, some shots down the field. Every week's different. But it definitely helps you at quarterback when you can run the football like that.
We talked about their rushing attack. What do you kind of think about your defense's ability to stop the run, and what do they need to do this weekend to kind of limit that?
It's got to get a lot better. I've been, the biggest issue I've had with our defense is explosive runs. Right after the kickoff return last week, we give up the long run. It was an incredible effort by Jonathan Edwards to run down and tackle the guy and make sure he didn't score. But we've given up too many long runs. And sometimes that's leverage on the football. Sometimes it's wrapping your arms on tackles. Sometimes it's just being assignment sound. Sometimes it's just finishing. There's a lot of things that we've got to get better at. I've really been disappointed. Our defense has hurt it enough for me that they're probably tired of hearing from me. But we've got to improve a lot there. And if we don't get a lot better, it'll get exposed again Saturday because this team runs the football as good as anybody in our conference, probably outside of the academies. They still probably run as good as them. And so we just got a lot of fundamental things, technique things, assignment things that we've got to – and it's not always the unfortunate thing is like 10 guys can be doing their job, and it's one guy that doesn't do something right, and that creases you, and so it's all 11 playing as one. Good? Awesome. Thank y'all. Thanks for being here.